Hello, hello, and welcome to another live week with Vivacious. Thank you for joining us, Moments with Vivacious, and we want to thank all of our new members, our new subscribers from Essence. We appreciate you. Please make sure you comment on this somewhere, even if it's your favorite color. But we have a very, very interesting conversation today. I just wanted y'all to know I had a little eye procedure done on my eye, so I couldn't wear some makeup, okay? But anyway, that's not what it's about, right? We about building ourselves, preparing for the new life that we're gonna have very soon, because we're gonna change. We're redirecting this generation, and I'm happy about that. And today we have Trell, and we're gonna talk about Miss Trell Williams, and we're gonna talk about with her. We're gonna talk about separation and co-parenting, and the different types of co-parenting, and what women and men go through, all that she got it going on. I'm telling you, it's going to help us in relationships. Sometimes it's not even marriage, and sometimes it's just a friendship. But I think some of the principles that she have to discuss today. And thank you, Sigi, for joining us early. And we're glad you're here. And please put your input in on this. Everybody, Trell is waiting to hear. So see you in a minute. Go tell everybody to come. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you very much. We'll see you in a moment. Welcome to A Moment with Vivacious, a freedom ride where we the people gather to build ourselves, our family, our community, and our nation. For the sound of America for Progress has reached critical mass. Understanding that we must put aside our differences to focus on the greater good. This is a place of collaboration to rebuild and restore our nation. Welcome to A Moment with Vivacious. Hello, hello. Oh, Miss Williams, we're so glad to have you today. How are you?
Hello, how are you? I'm glad to be here. Thank you for
I
having
am
me.
excited. I just want to tell everybody to be sure that you comment and you ask questions. And please, if you haven't, subscribe and like tonight's show. So, Miss Trell Williams, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Trell. I'm a New Orleans native. I'm a mother of six. I work at a mental hospital as a certified peer specialist, and I was in a relationship for 24 years and had six children. And I'm in a separation, soon to be divorced. And I want to touch on topics about separating, accountability, forgiveness, co-parenting, um, communication. All those things are a struggle. So
It's
that's,
really hard.
yeah,
It's really hard when relationships. It's really hard when relationships break up.
yes,
You had to work hard to adjust your life to this person, and now you've adjusted your life. You've grown together, and especially after 24 years,
yes,
then you have to. How do you redo that? That's a very painful process. Can we talk on a little bit about that, please?
yes. Well, we were high school sweethearts, him and I feel like we kind of outgrew each other. I can say that, and I can hold myself accountable. He stopped stimulating me mentally. However, I stuck in the marriage because it was for better or worse, right? And he did opposite. It was the infidelities, and his way of thinking was, because I pay bills and I come home and I don't publicly disrespect you, I'm a man. He said it indirectly. He said it without saying it. And for a while, I accepted it in a sense where, as long as I didn't see it, but it became to a point where I shut down, especially when it was an almost alleged child to be involved, as if he made a baby outside of the marriage. And I was like, something just clicked in me, and it was a person is only going to do what you allow them to do, whether it's in a relationship or friendship or even with family. So I had to put myself first. And it was very hard and still is. Like, I am okay in this new transition in this new life that I'm living. I am at peace and I am happy, but no one talks about how being happy is a struggle. Like, because you get conditioned to toxicity, and once you don't have it anymore, and that's all you know, it's a struggle to let go because it's familiar. So yeah, and the relationship, it was no abuse or anything. He provided. He came home every day, but it wasn't a spark. There was no more chemistry. Like, I have outgrown him. I'm sure he outgrew me, but wouldn't admit it. And instead of us communicating and trying to get counseling, he continued to do what he did and would seem remorseful only when he got caught. Till I just decided, like, I had to suspend sex, stop communicating, sleep in another room to show him that I was serious about the separation. And what's weird is I felt happy when he moved, and it was exciting, like an adrenaline. Okay, I get to have my space to myself. I get to figure things out and get to know me without being a wife and stuff like that. But when I detached from that relationship and started tapping into my actual happiness and moving forward, and even dating, trying to date myself after like at least a year of trying to spend time with myself, that's when I started beginning to grieve the marriage. I thought I would grieve when I saw him walk out the door. It didn't happen instantly. And when I was in here unhappy, I wouldn't rush to come home. And that's the thing. You want somebody when you are ready to date, you want to look forward to, "Oh, I can't wait to get home to my person." But I stopped feeling that way about my husband. So, but I did realize when I started doing things when I did start dating again after a year, and I was like, I'm ready to put myself out there and just have a friend or something, and it was going well. That's when I knew that I hadn't grieved the marriage, because that's when I started hurting. The hurt didn't happen in the separation. It happened when I started to move on in that way. And I don't think a lot of people talk about how you secretly cry because somebody is being nice to you and you wanted that from your husband or your wife. So it's a different mix of emotions that you have to go through when you're trying to heal from someone, but you still have to communicate with them because you have children. You have to close chapters when it comes to financing and separation. It's very difficult, and it is a process that I'm still going through. It's not like I'm telling this story and it's over with. It's still a part of my journey to date. Yeah.
And Nola Reed said, "Good evening, everyone." Nola, it's so good to have you to join in with us today. You said some things that can we go back and recapture? And I'm gonna say those three things, and because it just struck me.
Okay.
Um, One is that when you said you started dating yourself.
Yeah.
Well, that's number two, really. One is I might have to start dating myself, but anyway. So the number one thing was um that you guys grew apart.
Yes.
Because people grow. Do you see any? Was there any opportunity for y'all to grow together instead of growing apart? That was one, and then you didn't feel the hurt until you had somebody who treated you well.
Yes.
Can we discuss those three? Can we
Yes.
go into detail with that?
Well, fortunately, I decided to start therapy as we transitioned out of the marriage, and he decided to move out. And before he even moved out, I started therapy because
So
I
let's
wanted to
talk about when did y'all really separate? Because that was the physical separation. So it sounded like something went on before that. You know,
yes.
like y'all sound like y'all separated before that. And that's why I wanted to talk about the growing apart and the growing
Okay.
together. Yeah.
Well, like I said before, I'm a New Orleans native, but I live in Georgia. So I came to Georgia with myself and my four children at the time. I had four, and we separated for like a year and a half because of those same things, like the lack of communication, the infidelities, and those things like that. So when I said I was ready to have a, start a new life and branch off into different endeavors and try something, a different state and, new beginnings, I came along and I was finding myself, I was in school at the time, I was in college. I came here because I have a brother that lives here and he was flourishing. So I was like, let me try something different. And I had his support. So when I did that, everything was going well. And of course, we were communicating because we had children. And he asked for a second chance. And I was skeptical at first, but with prayer and speaking with family and friends, and it was one friend kind of stood out to me when he was like, give your marriage a second chance, put 100% in it, and if it doesn't work, you'll still be able to look yourself in the mirror because you know you gave it all you had. And to this day, I kind of regret taking that advice, but I got two additional children out of that, us reconnecting. So I don't regret the kids, of course. But he came here and it was a fresh start. It was new beginnings. But I always like to say he made this place a new playground for him when it came to the infidelities. So I just
So
refused
was it
to.
ever good here?
Yeah, the first year, like the first 6 months to a year, we were fine. We were like rebuilding, and he was working he started off working outdoors, then he ended up working indoors, but he was working with men, and I didn't have any issues. The minute that he changed jobs and began to work with women, it started crumbling. So that's where our issues was. And I will say he's not a great communicator, and he didn't grow up in a two-parent household or us with a supportive family, if I could be honest. So communicating and being affectionate and nurturing and sympathizing, or trying to have understanding, I don't those weren't his strong those wasn't his strongholds. Like he would provide, and he thought that as long as he provided, I guess he didn't bail out on his family. He was just a man. That was enough. Like it was bare minimum, in my opinion. But I'm sure his perspective would be different. Yeah. So that's where it started at. Like I gave him a second chance, and I feel like you followed me here to destroy me in a sense. And I will say I'm not perfect. It was times where, how they say now, I matched energy. I thought that would fill a void, trying to, do what somebody else is doing, but it's never effective. It only makes things worse. And so that's what caused and outgrowing. Like I would ask him, I was like, let's go to counseling or let's do this. He only wanted to do those things like when his hand was caught in the cookie jar. It was never because I really want to do this. Let's be consistent. He only had those solutions when he had got caught red-handed with cheating, but he was never open to actually fighting for the marriage. As long as I would allow things and go on my rants and fuss about it, he would act okay in a sense and chill out with what he was doing, and then it'll start back up eventually. So it's to me, it's just who he was.
It may have been something like you said, his past wasn't as secure as yours. So it could
Absolutely.
been, so it could have been something that even when his hand, well, anyway, we're not going to talk about that because that's going to take us into a whole nother place from where we're going, because
Yes.
we're talking on
But I
like
will say this, upbringing, I do believe had a lot to do with um how he became and the type of father and husband he was. And I will give him credit and say we got together really, really young, and he stood in it, and he tried to be a family man, and he tried to do those things without the tools. He wasn't equipped, and he tried, and I felt like he did the best he could, and I felt like he loved me wrong the best he could, if that makes sense. Like he done it, but it wasn't correctly for me, but he done it, and he done it with his whole heart. I feel like he really tried,
I think
but
some of the New Orleans thing too. So
yeah,
let's talk about dating yourself. When y'all broke up, you said, I think, if I heard correctly, you said, I began to date myself, which
I
the
did both.
counseling and dating, that was two strong things. I'm sorry.
Yes, I did. When I started counseling, the counselor told me, he was like, I need you to put some days in. He actually gave me homework, and he was like, I need you to put days in and not go to work. Put your time in, but don't tell the family that you're taking time out and not go to work. And I need you to have some self-care. So I started doing those things. I started journaling. I started, having myself a movie night, or, when I do have time, taking me a walk, or just doing stuff that I enjoy, binge watching a show, or, whatever where I found enjoyment, I tried to tap into that, because that was my assignment from my therapist. Like just spending time with myself, praying more, talking to friends, cleaning out like cleaning a room, because I enjoy like cleaning out closets and rearranging things in my home. So I try to do those things for me that I don't get a chance to do on a daily basis. Make sure all the kids are at school and have a weekday off, and just sleep in, things I just rarely get to do. So, I sat in restaurants, and I ate lunch alone, and just enjoyed the silence. Sometimes I could get in my own head with my thoughts, but
Hmm.
for the most part, I really did enjoy spending time with myself. And then one day I was like, I'm ready to date, because it had been months and months going into a year, and I was ready to have a friend.
And
Yeah.
how did the kids, but the older kids, they were already used to y'all separating. So did y'all leave after Katrina, or it was just a move to move here?
No, it was just a move to move.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the kids, those your older kids had spent some time without their dad. But
Yes.
um,
A year and a half. They were still
let's talk
young,
about
so
the children a little bit and what they
okay.
experienced.
Okay. The children, and which is my fault mostly, because he's a man of few words. He's like, his actions hurt. I am more emotional and more vocal. So when I would be emotionally distraught in the house, or crying or yelling, they would know what was going on because of that with me. So I've tried to learn not to do not to I've learned from that, like not to take that into my next relationship. So they kind of knew what was going on. So I believe in my heart they love him dearly, and they love me, but I think they're okay with us being apart. I think they feel as though the relationship was not healthy for myself or them or him. So yeah.
So tell us some of the things that separation caused. If we have any men on the line, and y'all want to speak, um, that'd be good. But I looked up some of the things about men after separation and divorce, and it said that men, almost when they're divorced, feel an immediate relief, but soon after they experience stress, anxiety, and depression. They go through an identity crisis, and a lot of times because of infidelity. Um, and because they blame themselves, they have an identity crisis. They go through identity crisis, and they skip the grieving process and rush into a relationship after that. But if we don't have any rush into a relationship like too soon, um,
It's so it's
so
amazing that you're saying these things because that's what's going on. Like
well, that was I read that.
hmm
Hmm.
that's crazy. It sound accurate to me. For me, dealing with him when he first moved, we would talk maybe once a week, and then he would come once a week to see the children. And he got a second job, and I just think he was having fun. It was like I rarely talked to him. We would argue about him, spending more time with the children or getting the children and doing things with the children or him coming over. Because when he first separated, he still would come every day here, make sure they have dinner and make sure they had their baths and ready for bed by the time I got home. So he just one day he called and said, I'm getting a second job. I won't be able to get them because I have to provide for myself and for them. And I'm like, so you have to pick that time. And he was like, this is the only thing that they have available. So it forced me to have to cut my hours down at work and make it to daycare to pick them up, feed them, and bathe them. So I had to figure it out. He make choices, and I have to figure it out. And
So let's talk about that. They're free to make their choices, but you're at home. I read that on Facebook the other day,
yeah,
where mom says a guy's mom was telling him, don't say anything to her because she has to do everything around caring for this child.
yes,
Nola Reed said that's all of us.
yes.
Um,
I actually just text him. He asked me to call him so we can come to some common ground because it's not working with us arguing all the time. And I said, we shouldn't be arguing at all. I said, I have your babies around the clock. I said, now we're not even going to talk about finances, just the emotional part of dealing with all personalities, their struggles, their insecurities, them trying to, figure out their who they are, the things that they struggle with in school when their feelings are hurt. I say I deal with this nonstop. I'm a mother in my sleep. I don't get to turn it off. I say, and for you to argue with me or even, get nasty at times, you should have, I feel like he should hold me in high regard more than anyone. And I told him that, and I was like, until that happens, I don't have to have a conversation with you. And I'm not. So he tried to have one with me, and I just wasn't ready because it always escalates to something else. And I'm like, I am in charge of my peace, and that's my boundary. So he speaks to the children on their phone. We don't communicate right now because I'm not gonna communicate with you when you want to, and then you still turn that into something else. Like you're not gonna have that kind of power over anything at the moment until we both get into a place where we can communicate and have a mutual respect. And yeah, so I really got stuck. I was doing a lot of that anyway in the marriage. I was a full like I did the doctor's office. The cooking and the cleaning. He would help clean and cook sometime, but I've always did. I filled out his job applications for him, and that's a no whole nother episode or story when you kind of when you become sometimes you become a mother figure to your husband and stuff like you're married but you feel like you're a full-time single person in a marriage. So I knew I was going to have,
Nola Reed says they move how they want and we move how we have to.
yes,
There's no freedom in motherhood. We have to be on 24/7, cry in our closets, suck it up for the world and our children. That made my heart sad.
yes, Nola. I've cried in the shower and in the closet, and then I've wiped my face coming out smiling and saying, what snack you want? So yes, you're absolutely right. And I did that. And I felt like I've bent over backwards at times so he could stand up straight. And it's almost like I can't believe that we're not cordial or we're not friends, even with the and a part of me is responsible for my behavior and how I process things and how I was hurt and things, but I feel like he takes no accountability. And he absolutely moved, he moved on. And when he moved on, I think he was having fun. He put get a lot of time between it. He didn't actually, it was hard to get him to leave, but once he left, he didn't fight. So when I was ready to move on and he started seeing those things, he was secretly doing the same thing I was. I was doing, like, seeing people. He was seeing people. I was seeing someone. But
this was after you were separated.
yes, he
I have
a year.
Sigrid Petit that says, Nola Reed, you're absolutely right. I happen to know Sigrid.
Okay.
And she's an older woman who went through this before y'all. Do you have anything, Charles, you could talk, because she'll have to type it if she
Okay.
does. Sigrid, do you have any advice for these young women? And also, I want to talk about, I don't know why our men don't get counseling.
Yes. He said he don't need it. So I don't need that. I don't need it. So, but as you spoke about what you researched and you found on the internet, he also moved. He moved. He moved out, and he moved in with a woman really quickly because he doesn't think he's capable to do it on his own. And I almost feel bad for him, but also it makes me mad because you can do it, and I believe in him in that way. Like, you can actually do it and find yourself before you go and run and depend on someone, and then if that doesn't work out, you're back to square one. Like, do something for yourself and for your
They don't have to
children.
be back to square one. He'll be with someone else.
Yeah, so that'll probably have to be how that goes.
Unfortunately, we women, we just, I don't know what to
Yeah,
say about
so
that. Our
that
man can so easily move into our home.
so if when it comes to that,
Stephanie
yeah.
Horton says Stephanie Horton says, I said the same thing about men not getting counseling.
Yes. Yes.
And Trell Sigrid also says, you are right. They don't feel like they need it.
Yeah, that's he told it to me. I'm only going off of what he said. He only wanted marital counseling when he thought that would work on satisfying me, but just to go get counseling for himself to cope with the marriage ending and co-parenting, no. He was like, I'm trying to figure out how to be a single dad. He would tell it to me, but I was like, well, go get some help. He was like, I don't need that. I don't need nobody telling me this and telling me that. And so I was like, I can't. That's his state of mind. He's very narrow-minded, and it's been hard. But like I said, he when he didn't have me as a backbone and still wanted my support, because mind you, he left, and we were separated for a year before I started dating. I still was helping him with a vehicle wise, and he when I found out he had moved in with a woman and had a girlfriend, I was like, okay, use her vehicle. You have support now. That was a fight. I was like, you need to make sure you have life insurance. You need to make sure she's your emergency contact. Like, if you're going to move these things, and you
Trell, I'm sorry you went off.
for you in that way, if y'all taking it to that level, living with each other and stuff. So that was nasty. And where the struggle comes in for co-parenting is, for a year and a half
Can you
straight,
hold
I would
that?
ask
Could you
him
hold that?
to come get
Trell,
the
I need
children.
you to hold that for 1 minute. I want to read what Nola Reed said before we start talking about co-parenting. Okay, because she said something that I think would be very significant for y'all. And I can say I didn't have to go through that, because to this day I've learned to love my mother-in-law more than anything. I never had to raise my child alone,
Okay.
because we had community. I had my mother-in-law who just thought I should even give my child to her, literally. And then I had my sisters, because I didn't let them just go anywhere. My sisters that
Okay.
helped me raise her. But Nola Reed says, and I say this to mothers who Nola did say this good. We have to stop considering them and worrying about them. I worry about my babies and their future. That's my priority now. I'm adding that now for her. I am no longer arguing with the only one left is me to stress. Absolutely not. Very good, Noah. Stephanie Harton says, why do you have to figure it out for them all the time? Okay, she want to know why. Nola says, okay, that was it. Stephanie was first. Oh wait, Sola said something. Okay, go ahead. It was just twice. Hers was twice. Okay, so now we were going on to the co-parenting, which I can you hear me? Okay. Um, I'm sorry we lost track. I want to go on to co-parenting, but for me, I would say, how can someone that emotionally unstable? Before I say what I have to say, let me see. Sigrid Petite. What gets me is I met two types of young women. One, all they want to do is get back at their husbands, and the second one, some decide they I don't understand number two, Sigrid. Some decide they um trellis back.
Yeah, I lost. I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, we lost you for a second. Sigrid says she met two types of young women. One like you, um, who only wanna hurt, only wanna help and make and build them and continue to help them. And the other, that's what I'm thinking she meant. And the second was all they want to do is get back at them and hurt them. But moving on, which is not good at all, because then the children end up hating the mom when she's trying to do things against their dad. If you just let them see it, they're gonna see it. And I was saying, how can we trust someone that emotionally unstable co-parenting our children? But you were going on, and let everybody know now that Trell is coming. Trell Williams is coming from a professional point of view. She's a mental health specialist. She also is a degree, and it's educated wisdom that we have here. Not only her experience, and I thank God that she want to come and share her experience, but she has the education to back it up. And I just wanted to make that known, Trell, so people can feel secure in
Yes,
the things that you're telling them. So can we talk about co-parenting?
yes. Co-parenting. Sometimes it can be a smooth sailing, depending on the maturity of, like you said, if they have disciplined emotions. You and I talked about that before, disciplined emotions, and when both parties are holding themselves accountable and healthy boundaries are set in stone. But you have to, first of all, you have to be willing. It have to, two parties, like it takes two people to be married and fight for the marriage or succeed in the marriage. It also takes that much effort in the co-parenting um part of it when it doesn't work out. And for me, like I was saying early on, when we separated, and I would fight with him to get the children and give me a break and stuff like that. And he would say he have to work, ask my mom to do it, or he had moved his when he first moved out, he moved in one of those shared apartment things where he was like, I'm roommate with guys, I don't want the girls over. And I was like, okay, fine. So he would come up for a year straight. He came to my home and he had access to my home. I didn't know where he lived, and that's how he spent time with the children. However, when I was ready to date, and I'm like, hey, could you get them, or could y'all go get a hotel, and you get twin beds, and you let them jump on one side of you. And he was like, I'ma see, because I gotta pay my support to you. I'ma see, but he would do other things like be in New Orleans, enjoying the vacation there. And I was like, okay, if you need my support with getting a one bedroom apartment, I would help with that. For this, like going like co-signing or whatever, just trying to help him. And he was like, no, then you're going to feel like you have control to come over or put someone out. And I'm like, you're thinking of me when we were married and I was hurt. I said, we're not together. I'm trying to make this work for the both of us, because I have a life outside of being a mom as well. And he said no. So the problem we have now is we have 6 children ranging from 22 to 2. You never once tried to get the older kids to come over and visit and get, and meet your lady friend or whatever, or just come over to your new space with her. But you're hounding me to get the smaller children, because I feel that you think that's going to make her comfortable, because she don't have to deal with the older kids, because they know who their mom is and they have their own mind, and they also know, from overhearing, that this is a lady that you were cheating with on me. So you want to get my smaller kids, and I'm like, you never did want to get the kids before. So I know it's to get under my skin, and for her to, play house with her kids because she's in love with you and she want to prove that she's nurturing, and I'm just not okay with it, because I haven't had a conversation with her. He didn't want us to meet. He didn't want me to know where she stayed. He didn't want any of this to go on, but you want me to hand over my kids. And to me, both of you guys make poor decisions because y'all were cheating. She was a side chick and you were messing with her on the job. So her poor choices. I don't care how kind his family members are telling me she is, or any of those things. Like, their relationship, the foundation of their relationship is on the back of my pain. So I'm not ready for her meeting the children, and I feel like you should be independent enough to be able to get your kids without having to pawn them off on your girlfriend. Because I have done it around the clock a numerous of times alone. And I tell people all the time, even though the divorce is in process and we're separated, we're legally separated. My guy came through the front door. Like, when we started dating, we was immediately I told him, look, I'm dating somebody that set some boundaries. Call before you come. Don't pop up in my house. He did none of that. She snuck around through the back door, and now you want to play house with my children, and that's just my personal feelings. And I could be wrong, and I'm in a divorce group, support group, that I get opinions from, but it has to sit right with my spirit. Like, I know that she's doing all the right things for the wrong reason. Like, she wants him to see her in action with his children. Like, you guys have never invited the older kids over who understands what's going on, and like, you want, like, she can give my kids ice cream and they're gonna think she's the best thing since sliced bread, and that's okay, because I'm secure in my mommyhood. But I just know that it's not genuine. It's all because
But
you want
let's
to
go
be
back. Can we go back to the definition of co-parenting?
okay.
Okay. The definition that I looked up of co-parenting is a child custody arrangement where two parents work together to raise a child or children. If I don't know nothing about you except that you was cheating with my husband, how can this is me, look. This is me, we got audience out there, help me with this. What does, first of all, what does that speak of your moral character?
Yeah. Her moral compass is
What does that speak of your character? But maybe you've grown since then. Maybe you've grown. But people know me, so I just want to say this: I have been in a relationship that was not right, also, but nowhere in the world I would have ever, first of all, met that person or attempt to be a permanent part of that life, because I know I entered the back door. So I just want to say that it don't have anything to do with this, but I don't, I want to be on the up and up.
You're
You
transparent.
understand what I'm saying? I want people, I want to be on the up and up, and so my life wasn't discussion, but I know how people are. We'll get off of what the subject is and get on to something else. So that's why I say that. And to say so. Now, did you're the reason my children don't have their daddy at home.
Well, he's the reason.
Well,
I will say.
exactly. But anyway,
Yes,
if
he's the
it wouldn't have
reason, but
been
she
her, it would have been
contributed.
somebody.
If it wasn't her, it would have been somebody, and I'm okay with that. She didn't, because women say that all the time. She didn't owe me anything. She didn't. But as a woman, a girl's girl, I like to say, um, I'm naturally beautiful. I'm a naturally beautiful woman. I'm a kind woman, and everywhere I go, I don't have an issue with men approaching me, and I'm saying that for a reason. And that's me. Just it's like it's I'm growing because it took me a long time to see my beauty at times, but I don't have an issue with men trying to approach me and date me, or whatever, sneak around. And I have told men I don't date married men, and I don't date men in relationships, whether you're married or not. If you're seeing someone, that's not what I do. So I feel like if I can do that with 6 children and go home and get in my bed alone, any woman could do it. Because stereotypes are real, and I get stereotyped all the time. Oh my God, it's expensive having children. Oh, no man won't accept or do that. So if we're gonna live up to the stereotype, you would think I would accompany anybody who's willing to be in my company. So if I can say no, I will. I have zero tolerance for side chicks. I mean, I almost have a phobia against side chicks. So it's knowing I'm not gonna partake. I'm not gonna if it's gonna be somebody, it's not gonna be me. If I can't help you, I'm not gonna do anything to hurt you. And to know that if that's how you met that man, you gotta sleep with one eye open. So for me, he did it. When they approached him, he had to be interested. So yes, that's his fault. But for her to be a woman, and a mother, because I did my little research with her. She's a mother as well. Um, you should have had more respect for yourself. Even if you caught feelings for this man or you liked him at work, you should have told him, "Hey, go close that door completely, and let's do this the right way because we're talking long term." But the fact that you stayed in your lane, in your role, and now that he ran to you for stability and payback. That's another episode. Now you want to play with my children, and my old. If I would revert to my old ways and my old self, it wouldn't be professional. It wouldn't be mature. So it takes a lot of prayer and a lot of
Anybody have
distance.
anything they want to say about that? But that would be that was in my much younger life. I'm
Yes, yes. So,
now,
oh yeah,
like
of course. No, I
um
know that because, like I said, it's no point, no fingers. That's why I say what I said about him. It's definitely he did it to our marriage, but anybody that participated, I don't want to have anything to do with. Like I barely can deal with him. So I don't see how I can give you my children and feel safe knowing the father he is, knowing that you're gonna be dealing with my children full time because he's a good dad, but he's not the dad that's gonna be outside flying kites. I can tell you that. So I know that you're gonna be the one like doing the bathing, the feeding and the fun stuff, and he's gonna just make sure they're safe in your care. I don't feel comfortable doing that now. If he started with someone totally fresh that didn't have anything contributed to my marriage failing, I probably would deal with her and be like, "Hey, look, I don't want to deal with him. How you doing?" But to deal with someone who was conniving like that, I don't trust. I don't trust their choice making. I don't trust her. I don't trust either one of them really. So
which
it
is
has been
understandable, which is
yeah. So that's where we're at. So
so for co-parenting. If I understand co-parenting, Nola Reed says lay down your rules and expectations as far as your kids, and thank her for taking your biggest burden off your shoulder. and I'm sure that means the man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but how you gonna do that, Nola, if you never met the one?
Yeah. I, I'm praying. I'm praying that I get there. Because his sisters have met her, and it was like she's really laid back. She's chill. She's super nice. I said, let me tell y'all an old saying that my mother say every time one of us start dating. She said a broom always sweeps good in the beginning. So of course she's kind and she's sweet. He hasn't gave her the 24 years he gave me. So of course she's sweet and kind. But I am gonna set my boundaries, and when I feel like it, I'll let them go. But as of today, tonight, or tomorrow, no.
Sigrid say you don't have to meet her. Do you know? Look, I'm just my daughter. My daughter, when she was young, she went over to her dad's house. Her dad was married, and she called me to talk on the phone, and it was like the woman allowed her to call me. Okay. So I'm sitting on the phone, and who's ever on the phone with the woman, that's her dad's wife. Um, who's ever on the phone with the woman, I mean, who's ever she's talking to, and I can hear while I'm really listening to their conversation, while Kristen is talking to me, while my child, let me not call her name, while my child is talking to me. I don't see why you have to feed her. You don't do that for your husband. I say, Chris, call my mommy back in 5 minutes. I called her grandmother and said, either you going over that bridge and get my baby away from the people's house, or I'm gonna be there. And how many minutes it's gonna take you to get there? Because that's how many minutes it's gonna be before I leave my house. I promise you, she got up and went go get my baby. My baby never went back again.
Yes.
And I don't know nothing about. I don't. Your baby's not my baby's. You know. But I say this: somebody ought to know something about how her children are. And I was raised in a house after my mom died. We were not treated equally to the mother of the children who lived at the house. We were not treated equally to those children. So I'm gonna say, be very careful. Nola Reed says, "Oh, my kids not about to be around a woman I don't know. I don't care how they met." And I promise you, I know her. She live up to that. But I'm not. I'm gonna say, girl, too much go on. You can leave your child at your mama house and something happened to him. Unless
Hmm.
you know that environment, this is me. This is me while you're praying and making your decision. Unless you know people, look, if you have little children, if you don't know that environment, that I wouldn't say, wait, we have some older advice here, some not older because we're the same age. I included my children's daddy in everything. If he came, he came. If he didn't, he didn't. Because of the way I did it, they formed their own option on him. And I would say that if you're going to do something, always invite him. Always, like invite him to be there. But I don't know about Sigga, what you think about putting your children in an environment you don't know? This is mature advice here. What your mama say about that, trail? Did she say anything?
Well, you know, she's at first she was like, let him go. Those are his children. But when I would tell her, how I feel about it and all that, she was like, well, you need to just pray about it. And she was like, well, no, my mama is my ride. She gonna whatever I want to do. Like she gonna, cause I do know this. I will say this. I know he love his children, and I know that she don't stand a chance when it comes to how he feel about his children. She's just gonna be doing most of the work. But I know he love them and he'll protect them. But they're not going there because I don't know her. Like you said, I don't know how her kids are, and I just don't want them there. It's like, and like I told him, like, if take me to court, fight me for. I'll shake his hand if he take me to court. You'll finally be fighting for something other than your selfish needs. So, um, it's no rush. I'm just pondering. But he's welcome here. Like right now, me and him are not speaking. But if he was to knock on the door today, I'd let him in to talk. To be with his children. He calls his children. He can see his children here, but he's not getting my kids. Mm-mm. I'm sorry. I mean, I know they our kids, but he's not getting our kids.
Yeah.
Not right now. Like
Um,
it's too much.
Nola Reed said, exactly, Auntie C. I did the same. I want my kids to form their own opinion about both of us. And it sounds like you do that, Trell.
Yes.
You give them a open relationship with their dad,
And
right?
I invite him to everything. If he's like Auntie Sig said, he comes, he doesn't. But right now he's painting this narrative of what type of woman I am after now. I left him after 24 years. If I was bitter and mean and these things, why did you stay so long? So my issue with that is you want her to think that you hate me. So every time that I'm talking to him and I guess she's close around, he's very nice, nasty, and dismissive with me. How are we supposed to co-parent with my kids over there? And you got her thinking you can't stand me, but when you're at work or not around her, you want to come to a common ground. It's just not healthy at all for my children to be there and me and him not even in a good space. So him and I. So I just it's a lot of factors that we have to figure out before we can even take it there. I just feel like he want to bother me right now about getting the kids because I'm in a relationship. I want my kids and the stuff like that. It's a lot.
And sometimes, tell me what y'all think of this to the audience. Sometimes those men, especially when you get somebody else, sometimes they still be in love with you. And that woman that they get, they be trying to find you. I know this guy. Well, he messed it up, okay? I was young. I didn't know nothing. All I knew was really, what he was teaching me. Every woman he got had to be a nurse. Every woman he had till today. And recently, the last time we saw each other, which had been for years, this dude was still feeling it. Like I could never find you. Sometimes, um, they still be in love with you.
Yeah.
This is what Nola said. He's trying to make her feel secure because of how he got her, and he's mad you had the audacity to move on, baby. Go ahead, Nola. Baby, take you a weekend vacation and cut off your phone.
I like you, Nola. You hit it spot on. He's so mad with me for moving on because after 20 years, you would never. That's all I did was talk, and he's trying to make her feel secure, and I know you haven't seen her, Nola. Like she's sh so she's very supportive from what I hear, but like I can see her being intimidated. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But
Well, let me ask you this: is she from New Orleans?
no, she
Okay,
they met here, but
that's
she's
all you
from
had to say.
Florida. She's from Florida.
That's all you had to say.
Yeah.
But
So
so I don't
that's
want
thank
to
you.
leave. Tell us some advice, some co-parenting advice, because there were some people out there, and I'm glad we got to talk about that. Because co-parenting, unless two people, or either that man and that woman have a total isolated. This is my opinion. I never had to co-parent. I told you 5 minutes that lasted. But to me, this is me, and I never had to do it. But there's some people out there that may be having difficulties, and some of them is going very well. But unless you have an isolated situation for your children, give us because you book to give us some book advice on setting up a co-parenting situation.
Communicate, and hopefully if it's someone else going through it, they have they're on the same page. Communicate, set the healthy boundaries. If you have to have a mediator involved, or a mediator, have that. But if you're the primary caregiver, you have to go with your instincts and your common sense as well. The child has to feel safe. And question the child when that child comes home. Did you enjoy yourself? How was you treated? And stuff like that. And let the children have a say so. Because sometimes we're doing it because we want a break, or we want it to be equal, but you want the child happiness is, to me, far most important. So having that communication, setting boundaries, respecting boundaries, you know, being accountable and being consistent, being on time to pick your child up, dropping your child off on time. Those things are important as well.
Okay, and something.
Respecting all parties involved, like when it's done properly, I feel like it can be a great thing. You can have a blended family. It can be great, but you have to get there. And for me, like I'm fighting in it alone, and I want to do it the correct way, but I'm not, whether he likes it or not, I'm going to go with my gut, my parenting, my advice from a professional, like, because I'm in therapy, and I'm going to stand on business, like when it comes to my children. So I can't be in that space right now because it's a growing process, and I'm praying that him and I get there. But for those who do have an okay or a good relationship with their ex, the boundaries and the communication and being consistent, and like you said, including each other in things, and asking the children how they feel about certain things, because they're the ones that they're experiencing that separation as well. So that would be my advice. Always put the children first. Talk to them, ask them how they feel about the things, and try to be cordial and respectful to one another, because there are children involved. I'm not there yet. I have the tools, but I just don't have nobody to work with.
And one thing I want to say, because you mentioned this earlier, women aren't the only ones uh, that's left with the children. Women aren't the only ones. I'm so sorry about the internet tonight, but women aren't the only ones that's stuck with children. And I know some children that grew up with their dad. Their dad married another woman, and that woman was a quiet part of their life, but she was a solid part of their life. I think that as a professional, that woman kept her place. But when parents just step out on their children, it makes it very hard. The whole world competes with that missing parent. So even if you decide, I don't want to be there, I want to leave, and I know you want to go on with your life, we all wish we had it that way. But please, if you're that parent, don't just step off and step away. I'm glad Trella's back. Step away. Step away
Mhm.
from your children.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Trell. I'm sorry you went off for a minute. If you could finish that for us.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Every time I get a call, I can't hear you guys. But yes, all I'm saying is, yeah, try not to fight in front of children. It's not healthy. Communicate, and take care of yourself, because you can't pour from an empty cup as a full-time mom or a single mom. And you do have a life outside of wearing all the hats you have, being a full-time employee, or employer, or just not having a life, or putting yourself first, or not feeling good about yourself, because that can be detrimental to your children.
Yeah. So And there were some things that also that I researched that
That's another topic when how we didn't talk about it. We'll have to touch back another time on what infidelity and separations and divorces do to you and your self-esteem, and how you got to build yourself back up, and how you got to find your way, and you got to date yourself, and you got to love yourself. Like, when I said I'm a naturally beautiful woman, like if you would ask, if I wouldn't have said that a year ago. Like, because you blame yourself even when it's not your fault. You blame yourself. So it's a lot of things that you have to work on
it's almost time for us to
within.
go. Can you talk about that a little bit of how we blame ourselves and we take it
Yes,
in and
yes.
destroys us
You
as a
blame
person?
yourself. You wonder if you wasn't spontaneous enough, or you wasn't intimate enough, or you wasn't keeping yourself together enough, or you didn't communicate enough. You blame yourself for what they do. You look at your body, and you compare yourself to who you think, what you think they like and why they doing it. So you do that. It consumed me so bad. I was like, I would be in a grocery store and I would see a beautiful woman and be like, I wonder if he likes her, if that's somebody he talks to. It does something to your mental, and you have to go get help for that, and you have to pray yourself through that. So it does a lot. It does a lot to you until you rebuild and you do the work. But you have to do it for you and your children, because you want to demonstrate that you want them to see what self-love,
And Sigrid said, mothers, don't talk
like,
bad
as
about.
well as a healthy relationship eventually. So my children are they're seeing that I'm demonstrating a healthy relationship as well as self-love.
Okay, and Sigrid said, mothers, don't talk bad about daddy in front of the children. And daddies, don't talk bad about the
Yeah.
mother in front of the children. Um,
Okay.
and that's so very important. And we've said it, and I can say it over and over again that those children gonna form their own opinion. And if you're talking bad about that other parent, they're gonna take that out against you because they love both of y'all. So don't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. I am so bad. I'm so sorry about this bad connection. Can you hear me?
I can't.
Okay. Well, I'm going to end. I'm going to say thank you. It's 10 on a Wednesday night, and we've had a great hour together. So I'm going to say thank you, Trell. Can you hear me now? So I want to say thank you for being here, and we'll see you next week. Can't wait. I'm excited. Stay excited. Vivacious speak.